So today I'm going to show you how I'm going to be doing my winter sowing. Now I know it doesn't really look like winter out here too much today. It's kind of spring-like almost, but it's supposed to drop back down here over the next couple of days and weeks, and spring isn't quite here yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do the winter sowing. This is the first time I've ever tried doing this. So I just want to share the technique that I'm using, and then you can kind of adapt from there. So what we're doing is I had some friends that were kind enough to donate some just regular gallon jugs. You just want the sort of clear, you don't want completely opaque ones. You're basically making a little mini greenhouse out of these. So what you're gonna do is finished product is gonna look sort of like this. So I'm gonna have you come on in a little closer so I can show you how we're gonna prep these. Super simple, and you can get these really cheap. Just ask your friends for them. And it's a great way to start seeds now. You're actually going to put them out in your yard. I'll show you the finished product when I'm finished with all of it, but it's really easy, and if it works, hopefully it works. If it works, then it's a great way to start seeds before you have to worry about dates and setting them at a certain time and all of that. So you're going to just take your regular plastic jug. You're going to take the lid off. You're not going to need that right now, so you can toss that to the side. You're going to hear my dog barking because we have a crazy neighbor dog that gets him going. So anyway, then you're just going to take this upside down. I'm going to kind of do this in the grass just so I don't cut myself, but I just have a little X-Acto knife here. We want to do some drainage holes in the bottom of this, because if you're making a little greenhouse, you're going to have the top of it open so that rain and snow and things can fit inside here, and you're going to be watering these plants obviously, so you want somewhere where the water can go. So I'm just going to poke a couple of little holes in here. Don't worry if it bends. This is not an exact science. I'm just poking a couple holes. If I can keep this out. Come on. There we go.
Get close up there.
Yep. And then, so I'm actually going to, on the sides, I'm going to do like a little slit on the sides here too, on all four sides, just to make sure that you're going to get proper drainage in the bottom, because it's going to be really important to make sure that your plants are not super waterlogged in this. So that's all I'm going to do for there. Drainage is pretty much done at this point. So our next step is going to be cutting this. I kind of use the handle as a guide for this. It is not an exact science here again. I just kind of start the process with the knife just so I can get a pair of scissors in here. And I'm taking these old handy dandy pair of scissors. There goes my dog. And I'm just gonna cut the rest of the way through. This is real life, friends. This is what happens. So I just kind of cut right up to where the handle is going to be, and I'll show you why here in a second, but I'm going to turn this around and just finish cutting this. It's actually pretty easy to cut. Keep going all the way around to this side of the handle, and then you want to kind of keep the handle intact there, because what you're going to do is you're going to open this up, and the bottom is where you're going to fill your dirt and plant your plants in here. You want this as sort of like a hinge, so that way when the weather does get a little bit warmer and you start getting sprouts in here, you may have to sort of open these up and give them some air and let them cool off, because if you have it completely sealed, because we're going to seal this with duct tape after we finish the planting part, if you have it sealed and don't open it up on hot days, you're pretty much just going to bake your plants right where they're at inside this little sort of terrarium greenhouse that you're creating. So that is it as far as the prep for these. It's really simple, and you can get through it pretty quickly. And then I will be back and we'll show you the next step to the process. Okay, so now we've got all of our jugs cut and ready to go. So our next step is just gonna be filling them with dirt. Super simple. I actually just got this potting soil, which is what I like to use, from a local greenhouse. It's my favorite. It just makes it up for me perfectly, and it's really nice and soft. You want the sort of lighter texture so that it's not going to compact. I wouldn't pick up dirt from your backyard. I mean, I guess it would work, but I feel like that would compact a little bit too much for what our purposes are going to be. So you want this to be at least 3 inches, preferably 4 inches. Listen, I'm terrible at measuring things, so I am totally just winging it. I'm just sort of scooping it in here. I'm going to wet these down a little bit before I do any planting, but that's about as deep as you want to go. So you can see when you close this up after you're done planting, it's going to be nice and full in here. So that's our next step, and pretty soon we'll be planting. Okay, next step of this process is pretty simple. We just have some regular water in here. We're just going to give these a little bit of water. I'm not going to really worry about it too much. just because we have a lot of rain coming here tomorrow. So we are actually just going to plant right into this here. Then we are going to close this milk jug back up, and we're actually going to just put duct tape all the way around the outside to seal this closed to create that sort of greenhouse effect. But we're going to keep the cap off, and why that's important is because tomorrow it's supposed to rain here all day long. So that's why I'm not super worried about getting this totally saturated today, because the rain is going to come right in the top of this, or if you have snow, because it is winter sowing, there you'll get snow and precipitation in here, and that's what's going to keep everything nice and wet in here. So that is pretty much it. We are going to pick out some seeds, and I will create a list down below, and I'll show you a couple of the seed packets that we're going to use. Like I said, we are just trying this, so we have no idea if it's going to work or not, but it's a really easy process, so we figure we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. Okay, my friends, so now we have all of our sort of containers ready for winter sowing. So now we get to do the fun part, and we get to put the seeds in. Now, obviously, you can probably tell by my hair color and style that this is a different day from when we filmed the first part of our video, because we were kind of prepping all of the containers at that point. So now is when we get to choose the seeds that we are going to plant in these. So when you're kind of looking at some options for planting for seeds, one of the really good qualifiers for winter sowing would be something that says on the back of your seed packet, see where it has that little sort of snowflake looking thing that says cold stratify. So this particular plant needs cold stratification for the seeds to be able to germinate properly and to grow, which just means that they have to be really cold for a while. So you can actually pop these in your freezer, but winter sowing is another really great option because you can keep them outside in the cold and in the elements, and Mother Nature will take care of it for you, and they will germinate at the specific time that they should be germinated. So once they are finished with the cold stratification process, they will be ready to hopefully pop up in these little mini greenhouses that we're making. So I'm actually going to just plant a couple things today. I'm going to try and do some kale. I'm going to try and do marshmallow plant, which I've never tried planting before, and we are going to do some bunching onions. I've actually already gone ahead and also sowed some seeds for some sunflowers. I did for butterfly bush because it's one of my favorites here in our yard to bring in some of those pollinators. And I'm trying to think what else we did. Oh, we did some wild bergamot just because I really love the smell of wild bergamot, and I've never tried growing it before. So we went ahead and sowed some seeds there, and sunflowers and black-eyed Susans, just because we wanted to add some pretty things. Even though we're kind of focusing on things that we can eat in our garden this year, we also want to have some pretty flowers available as well, and to bring in those bees and butterflies and all the great pollinators that come along with it. So anyway, I'm going to pop off this, and then I will show you a better camera angle so I can show you how I'm going to plant the seeds for this. Okay, friends, so here is one of our containers here. So we're just going to pop the lid off of this and get ready to plant our seeds. So the one I'm going to try here this time first is through MI Gardener, Michigan Gardener, and it is our marshmallow plant. We're going to try this and see. This is that one I was talking to you about where it has the cold stratify. So I feel like it's going to be a really great option for doing this via winter sowing. All right, let's check out these seeds. I have never tried growing this plant before, so I'm super curious about it. I'm not going to plant all of these seeds here in the winter sowing. We're going to just pour out some of them, and I'm going to keep the rest here. We'll put those away and see how these do. So there's what it looks like. There's about how many we're going to plant. So all I'm going to do is really just kind of get my dirt sort of situated here again, and I'm really just going to kind of drop these in. There is not really a rhyme or reason to this. So what I'm actually doing is planting a lot of these all at once. Now that's typically not what I do in my raised bed garden because I kind of use the square foot method. So it's a little bit more planning, a little bit more methodical as far as how we plant the seeds. So this here, I'm actually just kind of stirring the dirt up just a teeny tiny bit to get some of those seeds just barely under cover. And that is all there is to it. I'm just kind of making sure that none of the seeds are sitting directly right on top. That's it. And all we are going to do at this point is we're going to close this up. We are actually going to seal it with some duct tape around the edges. So let me kind of pull another one over here to show you. We are going to, where we cut this at the beginning, we're going to kind of close it back up like this, and I'm going to put duct tape to seal it closed, just like that. Now the top of these are all going to stay open because that's how you're going to get your moisture and your venting from creating that little mini greenhouse. So we're going to sit these out because we're supposed to get some snow here this weekend, so it'll be a perfect opportunity to do that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a note on my seed packet here, and I'm going to call this one seed packet number 5 because I've already planted 4 other things. So I'm going to write a 5 on the seed packet here, and then I'm also going to write some 5s on the outside of this here, and that way we can label it and make sure that as it's sitting out in the yard, we're going to remember what we planted in here. All right, so give me 1 second to do that and I will show you the finished project. Okay gang, here we are, our finished product. It's not the prettiest, most glamorous thing in the world, but all I simply did was put a little duct tape to seal this, so that way it's going to keep it all together and make sure that we don't lose any of that moisture outside. We just do have that top open, so our marshmallow plant is planted in here. I marked it on the outside here with just a plain Sharpie marker. I know there is some concern about the markers if you have them outside in the yard, especially if it's in full sun, that those markers are going to fade. So you can try a paint marker. Mine are not going to be here in my yard too long because this year I'm running way behind and I'm way overdue for doing this winter sowing, so they're not going to be out in the yard for very long. I don't think mine are going to fade too much. I'm not super concerned with that, but if you are and it's going to be in your yard for a long period of time, you might want to try a paint marker. I've seen some people that will do a piece of duct tape underneath it and right underneath so it doesn't fade from the sunlight hitting it. You can actually put little planter sticks inside here, so you can kind of do other options as well. I just wrote the number 5 on here a lot, as you can see, and what it is up here. Now the reason why I did the 5 is I like to do a numbering system, so I put a number 5 on my seed packet so that way I know I can match up my number. And then the other thing that I like to do is keep a running tally of the things that I am putting in my winter sowing, and that way it's numbered here as well. Number 5 is my marshmallow plant and the date that I am putting it out in the yard. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I had already added some water in here when I went ahead and prepped these containers, so we should be all good to go. I'm gonna go sit it in my backyard and I'll take a quick picture of it so you guys can see it. It's right beside the other little greenhouse garden that I shared in another video previously, so I might kind of pop that lid and show you that too, give you a little peek, because there's some sprouts growing in there, which is really exciting to me. I see some spinach coming up, so I'm very excited to get that here soon. All right, so that is my first adventure into winter sowing. We will see what it looks like. I've already planted those other 4 from the previous video that I recorded, so we're gonna put these 2 together, and I do believe there might be a little sprout in one of the ones down in the backyard, so I'm gonna show you that as well. All right, so hopefully this helps you guys try it. I would encourage you trying it. First year trying it, I really have no idea what I'm doing. We're gonna learn as we grow, as we like to say around here. So thanks for joining us and coming along on this journey with us. So if you have any questions or comments or advice, I would love to hear from you guys. Make sure you comment that in the comments below. Until next time, my friends, always remember to be kind to one another and keep smiling. I'll talk to you soon. Okay guys, here is the finished product. I know, not super exciting, but I'm literally just sitting these in the backyard. There you can see the other 4 that I've already planted. There was the marshmallow plant we just finished up, but I wanted you to kind of peek down in here. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of activity except for in this little guy. I don't know if I can even get this to zoom in. Probably not, but I do see a little teeny tiny sprout in there that just popped up today. See, it looks kind of like red. So there are some little sprouts that are getting ready to pop through. So I'm really excited about that. That's actually our sunflowers. So I'm super excited to see what that brings in the next couple of days. We're actually supposed to get some snow here this weekend again, even in March. So we will see how that goes for everything. And then here, let's see if we can get focused. There we go. Look at all the sprouts that I have. This is from our sort of greenhouse, our winter greenhouse that we made with our other video. I'll link it below, but we've got some really nice sprouts in there. The spinach is coming up really nicely. We're starting to get second leaves already on that, so I'm very excited to see how that continues to grow as well. All right, until next time, my friends, we will talk to you soon.